I think people overrate his boxing ability, in my opinion.
You think Tank's a better boxer? Forget how.
Floyd Mayweather didn't hold back when speaking on Gervonta "Tank" Davis's controversial draw against Lamont Roach Jr. He made it clear that Tank's performance was far from impressive, but what stood out even more was how sharply Floyd criticized Davis for his behavior inside the ring. Mayweather called out Tank for using dirty tactics, something that had already caught the attention of fans and boxing analysts during the fight. It wasn't just about a bad night. Floyd made sure people knew Tank crossed the line with how he fought.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good fight overall. Lamont, I always knew Lamont was, he wasn't coming to lay down. I've been knowing Lamont since we was kids, so we came up in amateurs together. So I knew Lamont was serious. He was coming in there to fight, but he did a lot better than.
Mayweather pointed out several moments where Tank was intentionally using his shoulder to bump Roach in the face. Whether the referee missed it or ignored it, Floyd didn't hold back his frustration, saying, "I'm ashamed of them." Tank's rough play stirred up heavy debate, with many believing that his usual aggressive style turned into frustration when Roach wouldn't back down. In the eyes of critics, Tank started relying on cheap moves just to get an edge.
In mind when you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more.
Mayweather didn't stop at calling out Tank's rough tactics. He also brought attention to something even more concerning: the words exchanged in the ring. According to Roach, Davis told him, "They ain't going to give it to you," which Floyd saw as a major red flag. To him, it was clear Tank felt he was losing. Floyd explained that when a fighter says something like that mid-fight, it's a sign things aren't going well. This only added fuel to the growing controversy, as fans questioned whether the draw was fair or if the judges bailed Tank out from an even bigger embarrassment.
What do you make of his comments?
Boxing has become this thing where, you have to be undefeated for people to care about you, and that's all going to go. My son just went to that show this weekend. He said the live event was terrible. Disorganized.
At Barclays?
Yeah. Disorganized, and we're going to clean that up. We're going to make the live events great again, too.
Mayweather addressed a key factor that many were ignoring: styles make fights. He admitted that Tank is incredibly talented but made it clear that Roach's style created serious problems for him. "Boxing is about styles," Floyd said. "Tank can make it look easy against Garcia, but Roach's style gave him trouble. Props to the kid. I hope they give him the win he deserves." This was a strong statement coming from Mayweather, subtly suggesting that Roach may have actually earned the victory, even if Floyd didn't come right out and say the decision was rigged.
Tank, you lost that fight. I mean, the only reason they gave you the fight was because you would make more money as a champion, but there's no way it's a draw, and they didn't call it a knockdown. If they called a knockdown, you lost that unanimous.
Another major takeaway from Mayweather's reaction was his indirect shot at Tank's corner. He didn't outright blame the absence of Calvin Ford, but it was clear Floyd saw deeper issues with Davis's team. "It's not just about talent, it's the people you have around you," Floyd said. Everyone knows Tank recently cut ties with Leonard Ellerbe and, for the first time, fought without Calvin Ford in his corner. Whether people want to admit it or not, those changes clearly had an impact. Just weeks ago, people thought Tank was ready for Shakur Stevenson. Now, after this performance, fans are questioning everything. When the greatest name in boxing history hints that Roach deserved the win, it makes you rethink the whole situation.
Never see that fight happen again. It just will not happen. Gervonta "Tank" Davis doesn't like hard fights. It's that simple. We've seen it over and over. He fought a Ryan Garcia drained. He fought a very inexperienced Rolly Romero. He will not fight Devin Haney. He will not fight Shakur. He will not fight Pitbull Cruz again. He will not fight Lamont Roach again. He will not.
In a bold move, Shakur Stevenson didn't hold back when reacting to Gervonta Davis's fight against Lamont Roach Jr. Stevenson flat out said he wasn't impressed with Tank's performance, going as far as calling it overrated. He pointed out that Roach made Tank look ordinary, and that's something no one expected. For a fighter who's supposed to be at the top of the game, looking average against Roach raised serious questions. Shakur used the moment to remind everyone that Tank might not be as unbeatable as people claim.
In there, man. I thought I won. I thought I did enough to get the victory over a spectacular fighter. I told y'all from the beginning, man, that I got the skills to pay the. I've been telling y'all.
Shakur took things further by emphasizing that if Roach gave Tank that much trouble, imagine what he could do. "If Tank had problems with Roach, what's he gonna do with me?" Stevenson asked, sending a clear message to the boxing world. He wasn't just critiquing Davis, he was putting himself in the conversation as the man who could expose all of Tank's weaknesses. It wasn't just talk. Shakur's confidence showed he truly believes that Davis wouldn't stand a chance in the ring with him.
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely not sure, but hopefully we could get it before. Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Teofimo Lopez also joined the conversation, and he wasn't impressed either. Lopez pointed out that Davis had nothing for Roach, saying Tank struggled the whole fight. According to Teofimo, the only reason the fight was called a draw was because of who Tank is. They protected him, Lopez said. He made it clear that in his opinion, Tank got saved by the judges and didn't deserve to walk out with his title. When fighters like Lopez start calling out favoritism, it only adds more weight to the controversy.
About that, but if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, "Oh, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner." I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation for me. Like, there was a lot of people in boxing.
Ryan Garcia didn't waste the opportunity to throw some shade at Tank after the Roach fight. Garcia made fun of the whole situation, hinting that Davis wasn't ready for the big leagues anymore. After everything Tank said leading up to his fight with Garcia, Ryan saw this as the perfect chance to fire back. With Roach exposing Davis the way he did, Garcia made sure everyone remembered Tank's confidence might have been bigger than his skills.
People want to discredit Tank. He's still a pound-for-pound fighter. Yeah.
What do you think about that fight that happened? You thought it was just an off night, or?
Everybody has an off night. Everybody has an off night. Shit, I had a night with Cruz. Everyone has a night. It's boxing.
You want to run that back?
Devin Haney didn't hold back either. He used the fight as proof that Tank isn't on his level. "This is the guy y'all said could beat me?" Haney asked, laughing. To him, Tank's struggles against Roach said it all. Haney made it clear that while Davis might still be a star, there are levels to this game, and he believes Tank just showed the world he's not at the top.
Decision, or I think a draw was meant to be. So I like the draw.
Do you like the draw?
I think. You like the knee though? Was that a good call on the ref? No, if you take a knee, man, if you take a knee in the 90s or in 2000, you're taking the point off. That's the bottom line.
Sean Porter shared his thoughts on Tank's fight with Roach, and he didn't sugarcoat anything. Porter admitted that Tank looked flat and struggled more than anyone expected. He highlighted how Roach controlled parts of the fight and forced Tank into uncomfortable spots. For a fighter of Tank's caliber, Porter expected dominance, but instead, he saw someone barely hanging on. Porter said that if Tank doesn't make serious adjustments, tougher opponents are going to expose him even worse. Andre Ward, always known for his sharp boxing mind, gave his breakdown of the fight and echoed similar thoughts. Ward pointed out how Tank seemed lost during key moments, unable to figure out Roach's strategy. He emphasized that a fighter at Tank's level should have been able to adapt mid-fight, but that didn't happen. Ward mentioned that these types of performances are exactly why some people question Tank's ability to handle the best in the sport. Tim Bradley came with some real heat in his reaction. He flat out said that Tank got exposed. According to Bradley, Roach revealed the blueprint on how to frustrate and outbox Davis. Bradley said Tank couldn't find the right answers and looked out of rhythm the entire night. For Bradley, this wasn't just a bad night at the office, this was a wake-up call for everyone who thought Tank was untouchable.
Reaction to Tank retiring.
He's retiring?
That's what he said.
Nah, he's not retiring. It's a lot of big fights to be made out there, and Tank knows that. I don't think he's gonna retire, with a lot of...
Errol Spence Jr. didn't stay silent either. Spence said that Tank didn't look sharp at all and questioned if he was truly focused coming into the fight. Spence knows how important preparation is, and watching Tank struggle against someone like Roach made him wonder if Davis is slipping. Spence warned that if Tank keeps fighting like that, his time at the top might be running out fast.
Look, I ain't the ref. I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe sweat out his eye. But the rules do state, if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic 8 count. But it is what it is. I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there.
Even Terrence Crawford jumped into the conversation. Crawford gave Roach his full respect and said he deserves all the credit for making Tank look ordinary. Crawford pointed out that Tank's usual explosiveness and power were missing, and that's not something fans are used to seeing. He said if this is the version of Tank we're getting from now on, the division just got a lot more interesting.
I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning. You can get knocked out like that, so I'd rather take the knee than, you know. But I didn't really know that you can like get disqualified for all that. Or like, when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell?
Oscar De La Hoya didn't hold back when discussing Tank's performance. He said this fight proved what he's been saying all along, Tank is overrated. According to Oscar, Roach showed that with the right game plan, Tank becomes just another fighter. De La Hoya claimed the hype around Tank is bigger than the skills he displayed, and now the world finally sees it. He believes that if Tank keeps avoiding real challenges, nights like this will keep happening.
Weisfeld and Glenn Feldman both scored the bout. 114 to 114, even a draw. The decision is a majority draw.
What? Ryan Garcia was quick to jump in with his opinion too. Ryan said the fight exposed Tank's flaws in plain sight. He pointed out how Tank was hesitant and didn't seem to have any real answers for Roach's pressure. Ryan made it clear that if that same version of Tank steps into the ring with him, it won't end well for Davis. Garcia feels more confident than ever that he could take Tank out and prove who the real star is.
You see who it is? Yeah. Who is the dude? Who is the dude?
And that right there.
Devin Haney added his thoughts and kept it real. He said Tank looked basic, like a fighter with no plan B. Haney stressed that champions are supposed to adapt and take over when things get tough, but Tank couldn't do that. Devin made it clear that he's been calling out Tank for years and this performance only showed why he's been so eager to face him. Haney believes that if they fight, it won't even be close.
Who you gonna fight next? That's what I'm talking about. That's the question right there. I want to unify at 135. Me and Shakur already talked to each other, and if he's available and we can line it up.
Shakur Stevenson couldn't help but throw his hat into the ring. Shakur said that Tank looked lost and unprepared. He pointed out how Roach was outthinking him, beating him to the punch, and controlling the pace. Shakur said if Tank struggled this much with Roach, imagine what would happen if they fought. Stevenson believes Tank wouldn't last in the ring with his skill set and says the fight would be a clear victory for him.
What was your pick? And you would say you would reveal it afterwards.
12 rounds, it's gonna be a decision, but I want to run it back. Lamont did his thing. I thought it was
Lastly, Gervonta Boots Ennis weighed in and kept it respectful but honest. Boots said Tank is still a great fighter, but this fight showed he's not unbeatable. He praised Roach for exposing holes in Tank's defense and making him look uncomfortable. Ennis believes Tank can bounce back, but only if he takes this as a lesson and sharpens every part of his game. Otherwise, bigger names are going to capitalize on those same mistakes.
Chain, check it for a big withdrawal around maybe 30 minutes after this fight. No shot. Somebody put the house on draw and just got a like 22x, something like that. A draw? The mathematical anomaly to have a draw with 3 different refs across what, 11 rounds?